When do I say? Wait, do I say it now? أعوذ بالله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس صدق الله العظيم.
صلوات. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. اس میں اعظم ہے یہ مومن کے التجا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. کوئی مانے یا نہ مانے ہے یہ ایمان میرا. نام عباس تو بخشش کا ہے سامان میرا. چشمہ فیض ہے چشمہ فیض ہے یہ در ہر ایک گدا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ دعا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. در پہ ایک بار جو آیا کبھی خالی نہ گیا. ہو کہ مایوس خبی کوئی سوالی نہ گیا. در کھلا رہتا ہے در کھلا رہتا ہے عباس کا عطا کے لیے. میں عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. باوفا آپ کو بیمار اے مدینہ کی قسم. ہو جو بیمار ہے قرآن پی ذرا نظر کرم. تیرے پرچم کی ہوا تیرے پرچم کی ہوا چاہیے شفا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ یہ ہر دعا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. جو عزادار زیارت کو تڑپتی ہے تیری. آپ کو واسطہ شبیر مولا غازی در پہ بلوا لو ہے مجلس عزا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے دید کرتا ہو علم پر تو قلم رکتا ہے یاد آ جات ہے غازی مجھے یوں لگتا ہے ابھی روتا ہے یہ زینب تیری ردا کے لیے میں عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے جب بھی غازی کا علم پر کبھی پڑ جائے نظر جب بھی غازی کا علم پر کبھی پڑ جائے نظر اپنی ہاتھوں کو اٹھاؤ سبھی دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات
صلوات غازی میرے غازی غازی میرے غازی تیرا غم اور علم زندگی کی بقا غازی میرے غازی غازی یاد آتی ہے جیسے ہمیں کربلا نام زینب کا اور نام شبیر کا ان کے ہمراہ تو اور تیری وفا غازی میرے غازی تیرا غم اور علم زندگی کی بقا غازی میرے غازی تیری ٹھوکر میں دریا کی موجیں رہی تیری آمد سے لرزے میں آئے لئیں تیرا جان ہو حشم مثل مشکل کشا غازی میرے غازی تیرا غم اور علم زندگی کی بقا غازی تنگ دستی رفع ہو گئی اے جھری جب تیرے نام سے حاضری گھر میں کی رزق بڑھنے لگا کل تلک کم جو تھا غازی میرے غازی غازی تیرا غم اور علم زندگی کی بقا تو ہے باب الحوائج یہ ہم پہ کھلا ہاتھ اٹھتے ہی پوری हुई हर दुआ, वास्ता जब सकीना का हमने दिया। गाजी मेरे गाजी तेरा गम और अलम जिंदगी की बका। जिस घड़ी तूने दरिया पे कब्जा किया, गिर गई तेरे कदमों में आकर वफा। अलकमा कह उठी मरहबा मरहबा, गाजी मेरे गाजी तेरा गम और अलम जिंदगी की बका। हक ने ताजे वफा तेरे सर पर रखा, और दिन का अलम मुर्तज़ा ने दिया। तू ही सालार तू ये खुदा का बना, गाजी मेरे गाजी तेरा गम और अलम जिंदगी की बका। गाजी मेरे गाजी सलवात।
Respected Alim, elders of the community, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I stand before you tonight to talk about the walk of honor. If you all remember, before we were hit with COVID, we used to have this walk that we did during the month of Muharram to commemorate the tragedy of Karbala. And also with the walk, our aim was to spread the message of Imam Hussein and what he stood for, and so on and so forth. Alhamdulillah, this year we are going to resume that walk again, and inshallah it is scheduled for Sunday, July 30th at 10:45 a.m. So the plan is, the walk is going to start from Al-Bakir Academy, and we are going to walk through the Ellerslie Road all the way to the Husseini Center. So the walk is going to be about an hour, give or take, an hour and 15, inshallah. The thing is, what you can do is you can park your cars at Al-Bakir Academy and you can walk to the Husseini Center. After the event over there at around 1:15, there will be a shuttle bus that can take you back to Al-Bakir, and you can pick up your car, or you and your family can get onto the bus and you can go to Al-Bakir and continue with your day. But when we reach Al-Bakir, when we reach Husseini Center, inshallah, we are going to end the program with Salat of Zohar and Asr at our time in Jamaat, and then there will be Niyaz, inshallah, that will be served at the Husseini Center. Now, with this walk, many of us during these 12 nights of Muharram carry our emotions in our chest, ready to stand for Imam Hussein's message. So one thing that we would like to request you, if you are participating in this walk, and we want you to participate, please, in very good numbers. And again, this walk is for gents and ladies and children. Please bring them all along. And when you're coming for this walk, we request you not to bring any banners, not to wear any shirts that has Arabic writing. We understand Ya Hussein when it's written in Arabic, Ya Fatima written in Arabic, but those people who are standing beside us, they don't understand what it is. They right away take the negative meaning out of that wording. So we don't want to create that atmosphere. And the other thing is also, with these walks, it's a peaceful walk. We do come across individuals who like to provoke us, who like to make fun of us, but please remember that we need to stay focused. Whatever the people that are standing beside us saying or doing, we need to continue with our walk. There will be police escort as well, and if they start intimidating us or provoking us where it becomes a safety issue, then definitely the police will intervene and this individual can get charged for causing mischief. So for that, inshallah, I request you and I kindly urge you to please pass the message around, and please let's show up in good numbers. This event is organized by all the Shia communities here in Edmonton. And this year, there was a specific request by the city of Edmonton, was that we had to notify the residents where the walk will be taking place, at least about 3 blocks distance, that they needed to know that we are having a walk and that traffic would be disturbed. So this was a great opportunity for us to issue brochures and postcards about the event, the tragedy of Karbala, and why we're having the walk. So again, these postcards will reach people that live in Ellerslie. About 8,000 people will receive this message, that they can learn a little bit about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The other thing as well that we have done this year is that we have created a specific website. As you can see on the screen here, it is walkofhonor.ca. So you can visit this website that Muhammad Ali is going to put up here in a bit, and you'll get all the information about the walk and all the details. And this is exactly what is going to be shared to the public as well, and anybody that is living in the area of Ellerslie. On the other note as well, inshallah on Thursday, we will be commemorating the 10th night of Imam Hussein, the Ashura. With that, every year, we request the city of Edmonton to light the high-level bridge with red color. So inshallah, this year they have accepted our request as well. So that bridge, during the night, it will be lit red in commemoration of the tragedy of Karbala and the martyrdom of Imam Hussein and all the ashab in Karbala. With that, I request you all to continue to support us with this event on Sunday, inshallah. And inshallah, please bring your family, and we can walk together. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Thank you, Ahmed, for that very important announcement regarding the Walk of Honor. It is also now on our website. If you go to jamaat.org and click on programs, the poster is up there as well. Just a few quick announcements before we get started. We are, as mentioned in these previous nights, collecting for the Iraq Humanitarian Fund. So we are connecting donations. It's right up there. You can see those contacts on the bottom, and you can sponsor an orphan or a widow or just donate. And it provides medical assistance, food, and it helps support those who are in need in Iraq. So please do donate generously. In addition to that, we are also collecting for the Muharram Fund. Right now, we are at 14,840. Inshallah, we're hoping to get to 25,000. And now we're in the last 3 nights. So these are the biggest nights where we really need people to donate generously, inshallah, so we can keep programs going, so you can support this masjid and support all of the programming that we have, inshallah. This keeps us going throughout the year. So it doesn't just support the Muharram program, it supports future programs as well. So please do donate. We will have one of the brothers, Jaber Devji, outside after the majlis today in the foyer, who will have a square reader. So if you want to donate with a credit card or a debit card at the masjid, you can. You can also provide cash. You can also donate online. And you can also e-transfer. So several methods for you to donate. So please do, inshallah, donate. Of course, as mentioned before, kids and youngsters, please do not sit against the wall. The wall is reserved for elderly and our adults who are older. So please do not sit against the wall. And with that, let's welcome Shaykh with 3 loud salawat. For just a minute, the mic is just coming down. Thank you. You can probably, if you want to. We'll get back up in a minute. Muhammad Ali podium. Thank you. We're going to stand up again, inshallah, for the Shaykh, and we're going to do another 3 salawat. And as you stand up, please do take a big step forward, move forward. We are telling people who come late to move to the front, but we do also need you all to move forward to make some space. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وله الحمد في الآخرة وهو الحكيم الخبير والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث إلى كافة الورى شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته أئمة الهدى ومصابيح الدجى الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين يقولون ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما صلوا على محمد وآل محمد My respected elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, Salamun Alaikum Rahmatullah. We've discussed 11 qualities of the Ibadur Rahman in our discussion on spiritual development. And so far, we have looked at a number of very important areas where these pious, true, sincere servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exemplify the qualities that are listed in the verses that we've been using as a template for our study. Those verses being verses 63 to 76 of Surah Al-Rahman or Surah Al-Furqan, which is chapter 25 of the Quran. So today, inshallah, we will continue our discussion by looking at the next attribute in the list of attributes of the Ibadur Rahman. And that attribute is that these pious individuals give special attention to the development of their family. And the questions that we'll seek to answer tonight are threefold. First of all, with regard to this attribute, what examples can we give from the Ibadur Rahman that demonstrate they gave special attention to the development of their family? Secondly, when we want to carry on looking at this whole discussion, what does it mean by our children sending ahead provisions for our akhirah? And thirdly, what strategies can we employ to improve the madrasa teaching of our children? So these are the three questions that we'll seek to answer in this majlis tonight, beginning with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So let's begin by looking at the verse that I quoted a few moments ago and which will form the basis of this whole majlis. So you'll see on the screen that verse number 74 starts off with the part that we already discussed. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to say, or right from the beginning, He goes on to say, the other previous verse was split. But this one, right from the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. So here, the Ibadur Rahman are described as those who develop their family members and give special attention to this. But look how it starts. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. The Ibadur Rahman are those who pray for this. They pray for Allah to give them joy in their spouses and their offspring, and that they be made leaders for the God-wary. Now, the beginning, those who pray, this is what I want to focus on first of all. Is it the fact that the Ibadur Rahman just pray this? That's what it literally says in the verse, isn't it? They are those who make this prayer. So does it mean that the Ibadur Rahman are those who recite this dua? And of course, it's a famous dua that often people will recite in their salah, etc. Well, this one, and you'll recall in verse 65 as well, we had a similar expression, وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ. The Ibadur Rahman are those who plead, they are those who say, they are those who pray. All of these things refer to something verbal. They are saying something. They are either pleading or praying or saying something. So that is the question that we'll first look at. That is it just a matter of them, verbally articulating these type of sentences and prayers and du'as, or is it more than that? So this very first question that we want to look at is with regards to this. Now, the answer is, of course, it's not just them articulating this type of sentence, this dua verbally. Rather, it means they use this dua as a base for their actions to fulfill the content of that dua. So it means, and this is a general principle with regard to any dua, whenever we recite any dua, we have to bear in mind the meaning of the dua. Like over here is, "Oh Lord, make my family members the joy of my heart, of my eyes," etc. So what we have to do with any dua that we recite is to bear in mind the meaning. What is that meaning? And then we have to actively seek ways to make that dua become something which is fulfilled. We have to actively seek ways and change things in our lifestyle, do things so that that dua is fulfilled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With any dua and with this dua as well. So the Ibadur Rahman are those who don't just say it, they don't just plead it or recite it. They actively take steps to make sure that they have done whatever they possibly can for that dua to be fulfilled. And this is a very key principle in all du'as. Whichever dua we recite, whether it's the taqibat after the salah or at home, any other dua on a Friday, on a Tuesday, on a Thursday night, whichever dua we recite, we should try and bear in mind the meaning and then think about it and see, okay, what can I do to make sure that that dua becomes fulfilled by God? Otherwise, just reciting the dua, yes, there'll be some barakah in that. There will be some thawab and reward in that. But it won't be what that dua is really meant for. And that is change and improvement and fulfillment of wishes. So this is the first thing. The Ibadur Rahman takes steps. Now, like what we've been doing in all of these majalis, we've been applying it to show how did the Ibadur Rahman fulfill all the attribute or embody all the attributes in these verses. So let's have a look at some examples of this happening. Well, the first example I'd like to give is that of the 8th Holy Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Ridha, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. In this example, the Holy Imam actually writes a letter demonstrating how much special attention he gives to the development of his blessed son. His blessed son obviously being the 9th Holy Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Jawad al-Taqi salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. And so therefore we have two Imams involved in this story and then in this example. So the Blessed Holy Imam, 8th Imam is where? He's in Khurasan. He was forced to go there and so now he is settled over there. Where is his son though? His son is still in Medina. Now, in those days, obviously, it was very difficult to get communications across such a vast span of geographic, locations, and therefore he had to write a letter which would then be transferred via horse, and a messenger would take it to the recipient. So this time he writes a letter to his blessed son. In that writer, which has come to us now, we have the record of that. He writes to him that it's come to my attention that whenever you want to leave the house, the servants are making you leave the house from the small gate, or what we would call today the back door. Okay? And he says to him that this is because they don't want you to give charity to others. Okay? Because of their miserly character, their stinginess, they don't want you to give charity to others. And then he says, by the right I have over you, I want you to leave from the big door, meaning in today's day and age, it would be the front door, the main door. Now look at this. This is an amazing piece of advice to someone that the Imam wants to develop spiritually. He says not only that, but when you go out, make sure you have with you some gold and silver, so that when people come to you and they ask you for charity, you actually give them. So instead of, what the servants were trying to do, make sure that he's not giving, the Imam is telling, make sure you do give poor people when they come to you for charity. Then he goes on to say that in fact, if one of your uncles comes to you, give them X amount. And he says what the amount should be. And if you want to give them more, he says to him, give them more. If one of your aunts comes to you, give them X amount. And he tells what that amount should be. If you want to give them more, give them more. But do not fear poverty, and give in the way of the Lord, for I want Allah to raise you. Now, what do we get from this? Well, it's all about answering this question. What examples can we give of the Ibadur Rahman, demonstrating to us how they gave special attention in developing their children and family members? This is a prime example. First of all, the fact that they were so far apart, that did not stop the Imam from initiating this communication with his beloved son. So we apply that to our lives, especially when our children have moved away or they are going away for some time. It often happens that children will move away for studies, or they go on a trip or something like that. The whole lesson we derive from this, first of all, is that we must keep the door and the channel of communication open between us and our children. Extremely important. In those days, it had to be done in that way that I explained, through a messenger on horseback. These days, we have absolutely no excuse. When we have, telecommunications as we do today, we have, video streaming even. We can easily send messages. We can easily get across to people from on the other side of the world. Never mind just, somewhere that is out of sight and perhaps out of the city. So that's the first thing. Always keep communications open with your children. Secondly, what does he advise him about? He advises him about spiritual matters. Now, often when I speak to mu'mineen, whether it's here or elsewhere, the emphasis tends to be on things like their material progression and development, their careers, their studies. They often will ask their children if they are away, or even if they're at home. They're often, the communication tends to be about those type of things, their studies, perhaps their health, their careers, their progress at work or at school, at sports. These are all absolutely 100% necessary. Nobody is denying that. But how about the spiritual development of our children? How much time and energy are we giving to that side of their personal development? So asking them and developing conversations about the centers they are attending or not attending, especially when they are away and they are not under the direct supervision of their parents. Perhaps the company they are keeping, perhaps the activities they are engaging in, what they are doing in terms of helping others, in charitable causes. This is also spiritual development. What are they doing to help the wider society? What are they doing, for example, in this month, just to propagate the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? All of these things need to be discussed. Just as the blessed Imam showed us, he was focusing on the spiritual development of his blessed son. And in fact, you could say that he was actually emphasizing that much, much more than the material aspect, because he was saying, don't hold back in giving. Give more. Take your money with you and give it away. So my dear brothers and sisters, these are some of the lessons we can gain from this incident of these holy Imams. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There's a request, if all the mu'mineen can please stand up and move forward with 3 salawat. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So now let me apply it to the greatest hero of Karbala, Aba Abdullah, Imam, Sayyid al-Shuhada, Hussein alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So look how he was always thinking about his family members and giving them this special attention. So you will recall that on the day of Ashura, he addressed his family members a number of times. One of them was when he actually came out onto the battlefield and he attacked the left flank of the enemy soldiers' troops. And therefore, I said a few nights ago that when these heroes of Karbala came out to fight the enemy, they would recite lines of poetry, right? They would recite their lines which would demonstrate lots of things about their character. So I gave a few examples before. This time, let's see what it tells us about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the things that are important to him. It shows his sincerity, his courage, his conviction, his bravery. So when he comes out to fight the left flank, he introduces himself. He says, Ana al-Husayn ibn Ali, ahmi ayalati abi. This is an amazing statement at such a time when he's coming out to fight and all of those family members and companions have been killed. He says that I am Hussein, the son of Ali. And then he says that I protect the family of my father. At this very sensitive time, coming out to battle, he says that. It just goes to show the emphasis he's placing on the development and the care and attention that he's giving to his family members. And not just that, but then in the final farewell, you will recall how he tells them to prepare for the affliction, and he tells them to be ready for it and not to do anything or say anything that will lower their status, and to have hope and have confidence in Allah's punishment for the enemy soldiers. Constantly thinking about their family members in order to develop them. So this was with regard to the first question. What examples can we give of the Ibadur Rahman developing their family members? Now, let's move on to the second question. And that was, how is it possible that our children send ahead provision for our akhirah? So let's have a look at this in some detail. The Ibadur Rahman, because they are so pious and exalted in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they want the same from their family members, isn't it? They want their family members to be exactly in the same way. Now, when pious, righteous children do anything, they actually send ahead not only for themselves the reward and the blessings of that action, but they also send it ahead for their parents. They send it ahead for their community. They send it ahead for their teachers. All of those people who have helped them develop over the years, they are sending ahead the blessings and the rewards for them. Now this really will inspire us to pay a lot of attention to the development of our children, especially when we know this, that it's not everything that we do for them becomes the greatest investment for us. It's an investment for our akhirah. What does Surah Yasin tell us in verse number 12? Inna nahnu nuhyal mawta wa naktubu ma qaddamu wa atharahum. That means that we raise the dead, right? We make the dead alive, but then also we keep a record, naktubu, we write, we keep a record of what is sent, what they send ahead and what they leave behind. This includes our children, the best investments that we have for our akhirah, because they become the channel by which all of their good deeds and their blessings are also they are also channeled through us. They also flow and benefit us. So let me give you some examples of this, because this is a very important concept that it's not just for themselves, but everyone. So even when we are in a community setting like this, and there are, mashallah, so many youngsters and our children present. So whatever we do for them, when we encourage them perhaps to recite something, when we encourage them to perhaps serve, when we encourage them to even help out people, the elderly for example, whatever we encourage them to do, don't think that, it's not going to come back to us. It will benefit them, it will benefit us, it will benefit their parents, their teachers, whoever has had a function in their development, it will benefit them. So we have this beautiful saying from Rasulul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Where it's a very famous one. He says that when a person dies, all of his actions become separated from him. That's it. When someone dies, all of his actions are now separate except for 3 of them, except for 3 actions. What are they? He says, it is a righteous child who prays for that person. A righteous child. So that will always benefit the parent, mother or father, both in the akhirah. Secondly, the one who has taught something, and so knowledge which has been passed on to others and people benefit from that. That is also going to benefit that parent or parents in the akhirah. And thirdly, sadaqah jariyah. So charity which has an ongoing effect. So one of the 3 is our righteous children. We have another tradition from Imam Jafar Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, where he says that you must do 2 things and then you'll see an amazing benefit if you do those 2 things. One is honor your children and respect them. 2 is that you make their manners good. All right, so you develop their manners so they have good manners. And then what's the result of that? He says, if you do that, your sins will be forgiven. So you see, my dear brothers and sisters, how important it is. And the Ibadur Rahman embody this. I'll give you a story, a real story, which is reported from the 6th Holy Imam from Rasulul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the Holy Prophet relates that Isa ibn Maryam, Nabi Isa, was once going past a graveyard. When he went past the graveyard, he went past a particular grave and he understood that this person, the inhabitant of that grave, is being punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then the following year, he goes past that same grave. But this time, there's no punishment. And so he has this conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he asks him that what happened that now you are not punishing this person. You know what he says? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him that it is because this person has a child. this child did two things. One, he repaired a road, and secondly, he gave refuge to an orphan. And because of those two deeds, I have stopped his punishment. So this is the benefit of raising righteous children. Otherwise, any animal, as some of our teachers would say, any animal can have children. What distinguishes us from other animals and other people indeed is that we, inshallah, will have righteous children. Otherwise, just having children and raising them up, any animal can do that. At the end of the day, we are animals, but we are, like I said last night, rational animals, and because we have the wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, we need to raise our children in a very particular way with that love and conduct and following the role models of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And then one final story I'll mention before we move on to the third question, and that concerns the dua of a parent. How important it is to bear this in mind, that the dua of a parent and the steps parents take for the tarbiyah of their children is so valuable and so special. So my dear young brothers and sisters also should bear this in mind, how much their parents do for them, and therefore how much they should respect and be grateful for what their parents are doing for them. So you will all have heard of Shaykh Saduq, okay? So Abu Ja'far, and his full name Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Ali Babawayh al-Qummi, but commonly known as Shaykh Saduq. This great scholar of the Shi'i world, one of the greatest scholars that we have ever had, the author of approximately 300 books, including Man La Yahdurul Faqih. Man La Yahdurul Faqih is one of our 4 books, right? So the Shia have 4 main books of hadith, and one of them is compiled by this great person, Shaykh Saduq. So he was a 4th century after Hijrah scholar, or in the common era, 10th century. Gives you an idea of when he lived. Now, how was he born? Was he born like everyone else? He was actually born in a very special way. So his father, Abul Hasan ibn Babawayh, was also a great scholar. He was a jurist and muhaddith. Muhaddith is someone who's an expert in hadith. His father didn't have any sons, and he goes to the 3rd envoy, right, the 3rd Safir, or the 3rd Naib, representative of Imam Zamana Ajalallahu Ta'ala Faraju Sharif. Allahumma salli ala. But he couldn't go to him directly, so he uses an intermediary, somebody by the name of Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Ali al-Aswad. Okay, so this intermediary was the go-between between him and the Naib. Now, he tells this al-Aswad that after 3 days, the response comes that the Imam has prayed for you to have a son, and he says that you will soon have a son who is Mubarak, who is blessed, and he will benefit people, and you will have other sons as well. So now, it wasn't long before the father of Shaykh Saduq had actually 3 sons. Not only was Shaykh Saduq born, but 2 other sons who were very pious were born as well. And one of them was also a jurist. So now Shaykh Saduq reports that this Al-Aswad, the person that he initially told this to, he used to say, whenever he used to see Shaykh Saduq, because Shaykh Saduq was always very much keen and eager to learn knowledge and to teach and look at books, he says to him that it's no wonder that you are so keen to learn and to engage in all of this scholarly activity, for you were born with the dua of the Imam. So this is the importance of our parents praying for us, of doing things, taking steps, reciting du'as for us. They did all this even before we were born So let's also be very grateful to them and give them our respect for all the blessings we have are indeed from our parents. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So now with regard to the third question, how can we improve the madrasa learning of our children? Now for this part, I've been looking at a lot of modern research, okay, as to how the strategies are employed to improve the regular learning, the regular school learning of children. When they go to school, what can parents do to improve their regular school learning of their children? And what I tried to do was take this modern research and apply it to our madrasa system. Now there's lots and lots of strategies that have been put forward as to how schools try to get parents involved in order to enhance the learning of their children. But I will go through only 5 of these, the 5 that I thought were the most important, and then I have tried to adapt them to see how they fit into our madrasa learning of our children. So the first of these is that we must, or before I start on the first point is that we must take all of this very serious, all of these 5 strategies that I'll present, and generally the madrasa learning of our children or religious learning of our children. We must take it very seriously, because otherwise there will be a big dichotomy between how our children see their madrasa learning and how they see their school learning. Already they are spending much more time at school. They spend how many hours in madrasa over the weekend, right? Just a few hours, and that's it. And then of course they might have some other types of religious learning, but it won't be that much compared to their school time. And so if we don't take that part of their education and development seriously, and we only take the school learning seriously, then they will always feel that, school is so important, madrasa is not. And they will not take it that seriously and give it that much importance. So we must give it equal, if not more, importance. All right, so there's not this gap, there's not this difference in their mindset. So now, what can we do? The first thing is to have high ambitions for our children. Now, for their secular learning, we have this high ambition, don't we? We want them to get the highest grades possible in every exam and then do well, before they go to college and university, and even during university. We constantly want them to do well and have high ambitions for them. So what about madrasa? We should do the same for their religious learning as well. Have high ambitions for them. I'll read out this quote. Researchers found, if you show your child that you believe in their potential and tell them that you know they can succeed, it can help your child build confidence, set higher expectations for themselves, and they can achieve better results. So why are we doing just that with their regular school and college and secular learning? We should be doing the same for their madrasa and religious learning. Let them know that you think it's important they do well in madrasa. Set objectives, right? If there aren't objectives, perhaps there are over here in the madrasa system, inshallah there are. If there are, fine. You as parents set objectives. I'm sure parents set objectives for their children's schoolwork, homework. Have you done this? Have you done that? Is it the same for madrasa and religious learning or not? Secondly, help your child to enjoy madrasa learning, just as they enjoy school, inshallah. There's lots of extracurricular activities for them to do. How about when they come to madrasa? If it's not the same type of enjoyment, then they will feel that, oh, that's madrasa, that's something else. School is what is really enjoyable and important. Another piece of research I found says the following, quote, children develop their attitudes and beliefs in their abilities from their parents. So this is all about being positive about madrasa. Sometimes it's happened, I've heard this myself, right? That children, after a madrasa session, they might come home and let's say it wasn't the best madrasa day or session, and they might mention a few names, their teacher or someone in the madrasa system, and the parents will join in, right? Saying that, yeah, you know, that teacher, you know, she or he is not that good, or they have this issue, they're not so brilliant, or that person really needs to, you know, get their act together here. What is that doing? Apart from perhaps ghibah and all of that, it's actually lowering the status of those teachers, those volunteers, the management of that place. We should not do anything that discourages them from learning. If we do that, they are never going to respect those teachers and those people in management positions. So we should bear this in mind. It is Islamic. We have to treat it as such. It's not just a secular type of education. It's something very, very special and dear to Allah and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. The other thing is to praise your children for their efforts and progress. This will help them enjoy it. Encourage your child to learn from their mistakes. Be compassionate, right? Be compassionate. If they haven't done so well, they've been, let's say, told off, or let's say they haven't achieved what they should have, be compassionate about it. It reminds me of how Surah Ar-Rahman starts. You'll all recall how this blessed surah starts. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ar-Rahman, then Allama al-Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, Allamahul Bayan. Now look at this order. Is that the regular logical order that you would normally expect? It's not. But there's a reason why it's not. What would be the normal, regular type of order when people are speaking, right? You would talk about insan being created first, then insan being taught, and then insan perhaps being taught compassionately, isn't it? And then perhaps speech would come. And it would be that type of order. How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala start this verse? And what's the order he goes into? He starts by talking about his attribute of being the all compassionate, Ar-Rahman. Then he talks about teaching. Allama al-Quran. He taught the Quran. Then he talks about creating insan, which should have come first, really. Creation comes first, then teaching, isn't it? Khalaq al-Insan. And then he taught him articulate speech. Allamahul Bayan. What is the message here for us? For teachers in particular, and those who are involved in training people in whatever way, that compassion comes before teaching. Just as Allah says He is the all compassionate, and then He talks about teaching, we should also embody compassion, especially when our pupils, our students, our children haven't done as well, or they've been a bit naughty perhaps. They haven't, fulfilled our expectations. Just as Allah puts His rahmah before His teaching, we should put our rahmah before our teaching. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Thirdly, out of the 5 strategies, talk with your child about their madrasa learning. Another group of researchers have put forward this, quote, children who talk openly with their parents about their day have better educational outcomes. So talk to them after their madrasa. Don't just, carry on and let them carry on regular, lifestyles, but talk to them. How did it go? What was fun? Don't necessarily ask them, really sort of like sophisticated questions, like, I don't know, did you fulfill or did the class fulfill the objectives of their, 3rd semester strategy plan and all of that, right? It's not going to work. But something like, what was fun today? What did you like about today? What didn't you like so much about today? What did, you and your friends do today? Start a conversation. Talk with your children about it. Around the table in particular is very, very recommended. Then, read with your child. Researchers quote, parents that read out loud regularly with their children help them to do better. How much material do we have which is so inspirational for our children? Stories of the prophets, right? Why don't we read stories of the prophets to them? And alhamdulillah, mu'minin are doing. I'm just saying we should do it all the more, or as a reminder if people aren't. Imams, stories of the Imams, pious people, passages of the Quran, du'as, all of these things we can read with our children. And then the fifth and final strategy is to get involved with your child's madrasa. So it's not madrasa, them and us, it's us together, right? If parents don't take this active involvement in the education of their children in madrasa, then it will not be very effective. Parents have to get involved, especially because of that point I mentioned earlier. Because madrasa time is so small, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And all week they're at school. Parents have to put in extra time and effort if they are going to have that very impactful effect on them. Meet the principal, meet the teachers to discuss their children's progress, talk with other parents as well. Make sure they come on time. I remember a while back, quite a while back, I won't tell you exactly how long ago, but when I was a volunteer at the madrasa and teaching, so many of the children would come late. And the parents just wouldn't give that much importance to them coming on time. Why is it at school if they come late? Oh, it's a big deal, isn't it? They will get some type of punishment. It will go on the record. Parents will do everything that the children get there on time. Why is it madrasa that often our children, turn up late? This also sends a very negative message to our children that again is not as important as school. And communicate with the teachers if there are any problems. So as a summary, therefore, tonight we looked at the attribute in this verse which talks about the Ibadur Rahman giving special attention to the development of their family. And we tried to answer 3 questions. What examples can we give of Ibadur Rahman doing this with their family members? We gave the example of the holy 8th and 9th Imams. We gave the example of Imam Hussein when he came out to fight. Then we looked at some traditions and verses of the Quran like that one in Surah Yasin. But then the second question, what does it mean to send ahead provisions for our akhirah? It's because our children, whatever we do for them, even the children of our community, it doesn't even always have to be our children, but children of our community, whoever we help, whoever we develop spiritually, physically, or socially, in whichever way, it's going to come back to us. It's going to come back to our community. It's going to come back to them as well. It will benefit everyone. And then the third question was with regard to the madrasa learning of our children. What strategies can we employ? We can employ those 5 strategies that I mentioned, but it has to be in a way. We have to look at it in a general sense that madrasa and school are regarded as being the same, or if not, madrasa being given more importance. It should not be such that the madrasa is given less importance in any way or shape or form. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let's recite a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, enable us to be, first of all, hasten and protect our holy Imam. Oh Allah, forgive us and our forefathers for our sins. Oh Allah, enable us to raise righteous children and righteous members of our community. Oh Allah, bring relief to all those facing hardship around the world. And oh Allah, enable us always to live and die with the wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Ibna Rasulillah. The lovers of the Ahlul Bayt have a very special position in their hearts for Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. This great brother of Sayyidul Shuhada is someone who the women and the children would always look up to and know that as long as Abbas is there, they are safe and secure. Now, this great personality, Qamar Bani Hashim, the moon of the Bani Hashim, and the standard bearer of Imam Hussein, was such a great personality that look how he is described by a ma'asum. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam says that my uncle, may Allah bless him, and then he puts forward some attributes. He says that he was someone who was altruistic, meaning selfless, and we'll see examples later of his selflessness. He was someone who sacrificed himself for his brother, such that his arms were cut off. This is how a Ma'soom is describing this great personality, Hazrat Abul Fadl Abbas. I mentioned his altruism, his selflessness. Where did he get that from? Of course, he got it from his beloved father, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and his mother, Ummul Baneen. Ummul Baneen. Let's remember her as well on this night where we commemorate this great warrior and her son, Abul Fadl Abbas. Ummul Baneen literally means the mother of the sons. Now, her real name was Fatima, but after Mawla Amirul Mu'mineen got married to her following the martyrdom of the Holy Lady Fatima, she told him that, oh Ali, do not call me Fatima. Do not call me Fatima, for that is the name of the Holy Lady Fatima, and I do not want to evoke painful memories in the children. So she was called Ummul Baneen, mother of the sons. And we'll see where Abul Fazl al-Abbas gets his altruism for, his regard for others before himself. It's reported that this great lady who had 4 sons, all of whom were martyred in Karbala, when she was told that all your sons have been martyred, she says, but tell me about Hussein. She was more concerned about Hussein than her own sons. And then it's reported that she would recite lines of poetry and lamentations in Jannatul Baqi about her 4 sons who were martyred, including Abul Fazl al-Abbas. One of the most famous lines of her poetry is this. She says that it's reported people would come to her, and when they would hear these lines, they would cry. She would say that don't remind me about my name. Don't call me Ummul Baneen, because it reminds me of the lions in the den. The lions in the den referring to her martyred sons. So she says, don't call me Ummul Baneen. It reminds me of the lions in the den. You was called after my sons, but today I have become a mother without any sons. So this is Ummul Baneen. Look at her selflessness in the sense that she always was thinking about Imam Hussein even before she thought about what happened to her sons. Now, this great son of hers, Abul Fazl Abbas, is reported that on the day of Ashura, after he had seen so many members of Abu Abdullah's family, his family, and the companions slaughtered, he now, on top of everything, hears alatash of the children. This is something he cannot bear. So now he wants to go and get water for the children. He takes a water bottle with him. He goes towards the Euphrates River. On the way, is reported 4,000 archers start shooting their arrows at Abul Fazl Abbas. He goes past them. He wades through the enemy ranks. At that time, he's still holding afloat the standard of Imam Hussein. Whenever the women and children would see that standard held aloft, they would feel safe and secure. They knew that Hazrat Abbas was still with them. But now, as he gets towards the Euphrates banks, he sees the water in front of him. He goes inside. He now is very, very thirsty. He hasn't drank for so long. The heat is on him. He is so thirsty and the water is so cool. He scoops up a hand of water. He wants to drink it, but then he remembers the thirst of the women and the children. He spills the water, and then he says these phenomenal lines. lines. Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husayni huni wa ba'dihi la kunti an takuni. Oh my soul, you are of little worth after Hussein. Without Hussein, you are not worthy of even living. He spills the water. He goes back towards the camp. He fills up the bottle. And then now he's got the water. He's thinking of Hazrat Sakina. That at least now he'll get the water to Hazrat Sakina. But on the way back, what happens? There is a coward behind a palm tree. As Abul Fazl al-Abbas goes past, this coward raises his sword and he strikes Abul Fazl al-Abbas's right arm. He cuts it off. He's still thinking of the poor thirsty children. At that time he recites these wonderful lines of poetry which have remained in history. Wallahi in katatum yamini inni uhami abadan andini. He says that even if you cut off my right arm, I will forever defend my religion. Now Abul Fazl al-Abbas, that does not stop him. He carries on going. He's thinking about the children. He must get the water to them. And now another person is hiding behind another palm tree. This person now takes his sword. He raises it. He puts it down and he cuts off Hazrat Abbas's left arm. Hazrat Abbas has no arms now. Now Mu'mineen, Abul Fazl al-Abbas falls onto the ground. But I ask you this question, without any arms, how must he have hit the ground? As he falls down, he only thinks of one person. Alayka minni salam Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein rushes towards him. As he does so, the enemy soldiers gather around him like vultures. They fire arrows at him. One arrow strikes him in his chest. One arrow strikes him in his eye. Now there's a person who grabs a pole. He lifts it. He strikes Abul Fazl al-Abbas over the head with his pole and cuts his head open. What state is Hazrat Abbas in? Covered in arrows. Arrow that's pierced his chest. An arrow that's pierced his eye. His head has been split open. And now Imam Hussein comes to him. Abul Fazl Abbas is in his last moments. He is trying to breathe. Now Imam Hussein says this phenomenal line. He's only said it at this one time. Al-an inkasar al-rahri wa qallat hilati. Now my back has been broken and my means have been diminished. Now Abul Fazl al-Abbas leaves the world. But now how can Imam Hussein go back to the holy lady Zainab? What does he tell her that's happened to Hazrat Abbas? What does he tell Sakina and the children? As he goes back, he must be thinking that what will they be saying? Where is our uncle? Where is Abbas? Sakina comes up to him. And it is reported that Sakina was looking. She's trying to think that where is my uncle? Where is Abbas? Allah la'natullah lakum zalimeen. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون ماتم حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا عباس يا عباس
Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas. देख मेरे गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा देख मेरे गाजी ऊंचा है अलम तेरा دل سینے میں جب تک ہے بھولے گا نہ غم تیرا میرے زینب کی دعا بن کر ایک وقت وہ آئے گا ہر گھر میں سجا ہوگا عباس علم تیرا ایک میرے غازی آ جاتی ہے زہرا بھی زینب بھی زیارت کو آ جاتی ہے زہرا بھی زینب بھی زیارت کو جب 8 محرم کو اٹھتا ہے علم تیرا دل سینے میں جب تک ہے بھولے گا نہ غم تیرا آ دیکھو تابوت جب اٹھتا ہے شبیر کا غازی تابوت جب اٹھتا ہے شبیر کا غازی تابوت کے آگے بھی چلتا ہے علم تیرا دل سینے میں جب تک ہے بھولے گا نہ غم تیرا دیکھو میرے غازی اونچا ہے علم تیرا آ جا میرے غازی علم تیرا یا حسین یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم آیا علم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم آیا علم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم علم عباس کا ماتم کو سب اٹھو بہم آیا علم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم پنجا نظر جب آ گیا ہنس کر سکینہ نے کہا بے آب تھے بے تاب ہم آیا علم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم مشکیزہ بنت شاہ کا چوبے علم سے ہے بندھا کس شان سے اے اہل غم آیا علم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم اس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم واقف سکینہ ہوئے گی کیا کیا تڑپ کر روئے گی اب کیوں نہ ہو باچشم نم آیا علم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم پانی وہ لائے ہوں گے خالی نہ آئے ہوں گے. صد شکر آیا دم میں دم آیا علم عباس کا, سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم. علم عباس کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم. علم عباس کا یا حسین.
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. تیری لاش تو علماء والے ویرنا کی میں جدا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. تو لڑنے دے لئی پابند سے جیوے اسی رونے دے لئی پابند ویرنا. تیری مقتل گا دے ہائے وچوں پا کے رسیاں کہہ دینا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا ہو گیا. جنہ باوا دے اتے سانو مان سی بڑے او باوا تیریاں لے گئیا ویرنا. تو نہر تے جا کے سم گیو پردے دارا بے آسرا ہو گیا. داواں لے گیا غازی تے بھیڑا بیردا گیا
نام مولا سب جواب دیں
لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا تیری لاش دے لئی بن گیا نے کفن کربل دیا جویں مٹیاں اے ویرنا زہرا دیا جایا دے لئی اڑ کے مٹیاں اے ردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا اسی شام دی طرف پیدل نہ جا دیا جے دین دے فرض ہوندے نا ویرنا تیرے غم وچ غازی ویکھ لے راواں وی فرش ادا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا جنہ باواں دے اتے سانو مان سی بڑے او بابا تیریا لے گیا ویرنا تو نہر تے جا کے سم گیو پردے داراں بے آسرا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا تیری لاش تو علماء والے ویرنا کی بے جدا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا رداوا لگ گیا غازی تے بہنا بیردا ہو گیا یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین
عباس ناب لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ عباس ناب لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ عباس ناب لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ اب کون تیرے ناز اٹھائے گا سکینہ عباس ناب لوٹ کا سکینہ عباس ناب لوٹ کے آئے بھائی سے ودا ہو کے یوں فرماتے تھے مولا بھائی سے ودا ہو کے یوں فرماتے تھے مولا اب کون میرے گھر کو بچائے گا سکینہ. اب کون میرے گھر کو بچائے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ. کیا ہوگا ذرا دیر میں معلوم ہے ہم کو. کیا ہوگا ذرا دیر میں معلوم ہے ہم کو. ترخوں میں علم نہر سے آئے گا سکینہ. ترخوں میں علم نہر سے آئے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ. ایک شور ہے کوہرام ہے بی بی لب دریا. ایک شور ہے کوہرام ہے بی بی لب دریا. لگتا ہے کہ اب شیر نہ آئے گا سکینہ. لگتا ہے کہ اب شیر نہ آئے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ گا سکینہ. کس کے لیے بی بی درے خیمہ پہ کھڑی ہو. کس کے لیے بی بی درے خیمہ پہ کھڑی ہو. اب کوئی ترائی سے نہ آئے گا سکینہ. اب کوئی ترائی سے نہ آئے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ. عباس کا وعدہ ہے کہ پانی نہ پیے گا. عباس کا وعدہ ہے کہ پانی نہ پیے گا. پہلے تمہیں کوثر پہ پلائے گا سکینہ. پہلے تمہیں کوثر پہ پلائے گا سکینہ. عباس نہ لوٹ کے آئے گا سکینہ. یا حسین یا حسین.
حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین. آجا علی اکبر 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 آجا علی اکبر. بھینی دامان ودا بھینی دامان ودا جا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا آجا علی اکبر لے سارا بھین بیمار دیا. لے سارا نین بیمار دیا. دل جنج آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر سارا بھین بیمار دیا. لے سارا بھین چاچا آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر دامان ودا بھینی دامان ودا دامان ودا آجا علی اکبر 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 بھینی دامان ودا بھینی دامان ودا آجا علی اکبر
سانس لے کے
آجا
آجا علی اکبر
آجا علی اکبر
لے خبرہ بھین بیمار دیا
لے خبرہ بہن بیمار دیا مت رکنا جاون ساجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر دامان ودا بھینی دامان ودا آجا علی اکبر 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 بھینی دامان ودا بھینی دامان ودا
میرا بہن
بیمار دیا لے میرا بہن بیمار دیا میرے شہر والے آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا بھینی دامان ودا بھینی دامان ودا آجا
علی اکبر
آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر بھینی دامان ودا بھینی داماد ودا آجا علی اکبر
لے صدرہ
بہن بیمار دیا لے صدرہ بہن بیمار دیا تیری راہ تک نہیں آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر بھینی داماد ودا بھینی داماد ودا آجا علی اکبر
سہرانو گل نللا
سہرانو گل نلا آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر
دعا بہن
بیمار دیا لبوا بہن بیمار دیا جتی روندی ماں زہرا آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر آجا علی اکبر یا حسین یا حسین
حسین حسین حسین حسین حسین اسیر اشقیاء حسین شہید کربلا حسین ہے جنت دی کل ہورانا جنت دی کل ہورانا تکروں دی پئیے ماں زہرا حسین تک روندی پئی ہے ماں زہرا حسین شیعوں کا بادشاہ حسین بنا الہ الہ حسین بابا رنگلی جوانی علی اکبر دی بابا رنگلی جوانی علی اکبر دی جڑی پل وچ ہوئی ہے فنا حسین جڑی پل وچ ہوئی ہے فنا حسین حسین حسین
السلام علیکہ یا نبی اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا رسول اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا حبیب اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا باعث الہدیٰ، السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیکم ام المؤمنین خدیجۃ الکبریٰ صلوات اللہ علیہا، السلام علیکہ یا امیر المؤمنین یا سید الوصیین یا علی ابن ابی طالب علیہ السلام، السلام علیکہ یا قرۃ عین رسول یا فاطمہ الزہراء سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیکہ یا امام سبز کعبہ یا امام الحسن المجتبی علیہ السلام، السلام علیکہ یا ابا عبداللہ، السلام علیکہ یا ابن رسول اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا ابن امیر المؤمنین والسید الوصیین، السلام علی الحسین وعلی علی ابن الحسین وعلی اولاد الحسین وعلی اصحاب الحسین، خصوصاً سیدی و مولائی یا ابا الفضل العباس ابن امیر المؤمنین علی علیہ السلام، السلام علیکہ یا ام المصائب یا حور زینب بنت علی علیہ السلام، السلام علیکہ یا مولا و ابن مولا، السلام علیکہ یا غریب الغرباء، السلام علیکہ یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام علیکہ یا شمس شموس و انیس النفوس ایہا المدفون بارض طوس، کن شفیعنا و شفیع والدی فی یوم الجزا، السلام علیکہ یا علی ابن موسی رضا و رحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیکہ یا صاحب العصر والزمان، الامان 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 من فتنة الزمان و من شر شیطان، السلام علیکہ یا قابۃ الایمان، السلام علیکہ یا مظہر الایمان، السلام علیکہ یا شریک القرآن، السلام علیکہ یا امام الانس والجان، السلام علیکہ یا امام زماننا ھذا، اجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسہل اللہ تعالی مخرجک وظہورک ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ۔
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله